The first time the cameras caught producer Victor Shaw killing a man, the studio erased the footage before sunrise. They erased me 2 hours later. I woke 3 days earlier, with a snapped security badge in my pocket, blood under my fingernails, and a countdown floating above my bedroom door. Final cut, in 72 hours. One scene may be retaken. The camera remembers what people delete. At the time, I thought the message meant I had been given a second chance to expose a murder. I did not understand that the woman holding the camera had died with me in 6 previous versions of the same night. I did not know the studio had built its fortune on stolen memories. And I certainly did not expect the most famous actress in the country to pull me into a prop closet, put a knife against my throat, and ask why she remembered kissing me in a scene we had never filmed. My name is Noah Reed. In my first life, I repaired security cameras for cheap apartment buildings and expensive people who wanted their mistakes recorded from flattering angles. My younger sister, Lily, worked as a junior costume assistant at Monarch Studios. She had spent 6 months sewing buttons, carrying coffee, and pretending that being screamed at by celebrities was valuable experience. On Friday night, Lily sent me a message from the set of Crown of Ash. If you want to see real drama, come to stage 9 after midnight. Someone is sabotaging the finale. And I found proof. Crown of Ash was the biggest fantasy romance production Monarch had ever attempted. Its lead, Evelyn Hart, played an exiled queen who returned from death to expose the royal family that betrayed her. Victor Shaw produced it. Damien Cross, the studio's golden director, was supposed to shoot the final confrontation on a burning castle set. I sneaked through a loading entrance using Lily's spare badge. I told myself I only wanted to make sure she was safe. The truth was less noble. I loved film sets. Every painted wall, false window, and carefully placed shadow showed how ordinary materials could become another world if enough people agreed to believe. Stage 9 looked abandoned when I entered. Rain machines hung above a stone courtyard. A mechanical dragon head watched from a scaffold. Fake snow covered the floor around a black throne. Then I heard Victor arguing behind the throne room wall. "You copied the drive," he said. Lily answered. "I copied the accident reports. Those stunt performers did not sign up to be poisoned." I moved toward her voice. A red camera light blinked on the crane above me. The main unit cameras had been left running for a motion control test. Through a gap in the wall, I saw Victor, Lily, and stunt coordinator Ben Mercer. Ben held a silver data drive. Victor held a prop sword. Only it was not the prop sword. The real blade entered Ben's chest without making a dramatic sound. Victor caught him, lowered him behind the fake throne, and pressed Lily against the wall. "The cameras are off," Victor whispered. "Your brother will believe you. Quit?" I ran in. Victor's security chief, Grant Pike, stepped from the darkness and struck me behind the ear. I fell beside Ben. Lily screamed my name. Above us, the camera crane continued its programmed arc. It captured Victor's face. It captured the blood. It captured Grant carrying Lily toward the service elevator. Damien Cross entered from the opposite door. For one hopeful second, I thought the director would save us. Victor pointed at the camera. Damien looked at the body. Then, at the blinking red light. "Give me 10 minutes," he said. He removed the recording card, himself. I survived long enough to follow Grant into the underground editing wing. I found Lily locked inside a soundstage office. I also found Evelyn Hart tied to a chair beside her. The famous actress was barefoot, still wearing the Queen's white battle dress. Blood marked one side of her face. She had discovered Victor's private archive and refused to finish the film. I freed one of her hands before Grant shot me. Evelyn caught me as I fell. Her palm covered the wound. A strange strip of black film curled around our wrists. Though no projector was running. "Not this ending," she said. The last thing I saw was Lily beating on the glass from the next room while Victor ordered Damien to erase every camera in the building. Then I woke on Tuesday morning. Final cut in 72 hours. I sat on the edge of my bed until the countdown changed by 1 minute. The snapped badge in my pocket belonged to Monarch Security. On its back, written in silver ink, were 3 words. "Find Camera 7. The handwriting was Evelyn's. I knew because her signature covered half the city. My first instinct was to call the police. Then I remembered Victor standing over Ben's body and Damien calmly removing the card. Monarch Studios funded political campaigns, charities, and half the police department's public media work. I had no body, no footage, and no explanation for knowing a murder that had not happened. I called Lily instead. "Quit Crown of Ash," I said when she answered. Today, good morning to you. To Lily. Listen. Ben Mercer found something in the stunt reports. Victor knows. Silence. How do you know about Ben? She asked. In the first timeline, her message had made the discovery sound recent. Her reaction told me she was already involved. Meet me outside the old cinema on Rose Street. Bring nothing from the studio. She agreed. But the timeline changed before we met. At noon, the news reported that Ben Mercer had died in a highway accident. The murder had moved 3 days early. My future knowledge failed with 11 words from a television anchor. When Lily reached the cinema, she looked smaller than she had in my memory. She kept checking passing cars. A bruise darkened her wrist. Victor's assistant searched my locker, she said. Ben told me the fire gel used in Stage 9 contains a banned nerve agent. 3 stunt performers collapsed during tests. Monarch paid them to sign different reports. Where is the evidence? Ben had the drive. Now Ben was dead, and the drive might already belong to Victor. I told Lily enough of the truth to make her angry. I said I had received an anonymous warning showing Ben's murder, her kidnapping, and the studio erasing the cameras. I did not say I had died. That part still felt impossible inside my own mouth. She wanted to go to a reporter. I wanted her on the first train out of the city. You do this every time, Lily said. You decide what danger I am allowed to face. Then call it protecting me. Someone killed Ben? Which is why leaving without the proof lets them win. Her words hurt because she sounded like Evelyn in the room where I died. Not this ending. Lily gave me a temporary background performer pass. Crown of Ash needed hundreds of masked soldiers for the finale. If I entered with the crowd, I could reach Stage 9 and find Camera 7. What is Camera 7? She asked. I don't know. That is not comforting. I repair cameras. Uncertainty is the most realistic part of my job. Lily did not laugh. She made me promise we would share every discovery and make every dangerous decision together. The promise became my first change from the old timeline. On Wednesday morning, I entered Monarch Studios wearing black armor made from painted foam. 200 extras filled the holding tent. Assistant directors shouted numbers. Makeup artists sprayed mud across clean faces. No one noticed one more nervous soldier. The Crown of Ash set occupied 3 stages connected by narrow service corridors. Stage 7 held the Royal Ballroom. Stage 8 held the Ruined City. Stage 9 held the throne room where Ben had died in my first life. Camera 7 was not on the equipment list. I found Evelyn during a lighting rehearsal. She stood beneath artificial moonlight in a torn silver gown, sword lowered at her side. On screen, she looked cold enough to command armies. Between takes, she gave her coat to a shivering background child and knelt to repair the girl's costume crown herself. The private person did not match the studio's dangerous diva stories. Evelyn looked up and saw me. Her sword dropped. Cut, Damien called. She crossed the set before anyone could stop her, grabbed my armor, and pulled me behind a column. Who are you? She asked. Background soldier number 143. You died in my arms. The noise of the set disappeared from my mind. Evelyn touched the place in my chest where Grant's bullet had entered. Her hand shook once, then became still. I have dreamed that room 6 times, she said. Every time, Victor kills someone. Every time, Damien erases the footage. Every time, you try to open the door. Do I die every time? Sometimes before I learn your name. The countdown above the stage door changed. Final cut in 51 hours. Evelyn could see it, too. She pulled me into a prop closet and locked the door. Racks of royal uniforms crowded around us. Her back pressed against mine while footsteps passed outside. Show me your wrist, she whispered. A strip of black film lay beneath my skin like a narrow tattoo. The same mark circled hers. When our wrists touched, silver words appeared between us. The last take is shared. Mark one continuous scene of 90 seconds. If either witness dies before the scene ends, both return to its first frame. Only the camera retains the discarded take. One memory will be cut from each witness. We had a system with one useful action and a cost I already hated. We could rewind 90 seconds once. The camera would keep the discarded version, but Evelyn and I would each lose a memory. Did we use it before? I asked. I think we used it 6 times, Evelyn said. I remember feelings where scenes should be. Why am I only remembering the last loop? Maybe the camera chose you late. Maybe I did. Someone tried the closet handle. Evelyn placed one finger over my lips. We stood close enough for me to feel her breath against my cheek. The handle stopped moving. Neither of us stepped away immediately. This is a terrible place to meet, I whispered. In one dream, we met beside a body. This is progress. She had the same dry humor I had glimpsed before death. It made her feel less like a celebrity and more like the only person who understood the impossible thing happening to me. Evelyn explained that Crown of Ash had been rewritten after filming began. The original script ended with her queen destroying the magical crown that controlled people's memories. Victor replaced it with an ending where she accepted the crown and ruled alone. The change seemed artistic until she found invoices for an experimental projection system called Mnemosyne. Monarch had installed it behind the Stage 9 screens. It recorded emotional responses from actors and test audiences, then used those patterns to predict which scenes people would remember. Victor was not only making movies. He was learning how to erase unwanted events from public belief. Ben discovered that the fire gel carried microscopic memory-reactive particles used by Mnemosyne. The collapsed stunt performers had not merely been poisoned. They had forgotten entire hours around their accidents. Camera 7 is the original Mnemosyne recorder, Evelyn said. It stores everything the system removes. Victor keeps it off the network. Where? Damien moved it after my last attempt. She said attempt, not dream. Before I could ask, the closet opened. Damien Cross stood outside. He was 35, dressed in black, with the exhausted face of a man praised for caring more than everyone else. He looked from Evelyn to me, then closed the door behind him. Noah Reed, he said. I had never told him my name. Victor knows someone accessed the old footage archive. Damien continued. If you came here because of Ben, leave now. You erased Ben's murder, I said. His expression changed, but not with surprise. Ben died yesterday. Not the first time. Damien looked at Evelyn's wrist. You found another witness. He knew about the loops. Evelyn moved between us. Where is camera 7? Somewhere Victor cannot reach without me. That did not save Ben. Damien flinched. He admitted that Mnemosyne had reacted during the first version of the finale. When Victor killed Ben on camera, the system detected an event the studio wanted removed. Evelyn tried to expose it. Damien activated a reset through camera 7, believing he could save Ben in the next take. Each reset changed the sequence. Each time, Victor adapted. Ben died in a different place. Lily became a target earlier. Evelyn remembered less. Damien remembered everything because he operated the camera. Why not release the stored footage? I asked. Because camera 7 does not store pictures alone. It stores the memories cut from everyone linked to the scene. If I connect it to the public network, millions of viewers could receive 6 deaths at once. Panic, trauma, false memories. Victor wants that power. Damien's guilt sounded real. So did his excuse. You kept filming, Evelyn said. I kept the studio open long enough to find a safe export. And how many people did Victor hurt while you protected your solution? Damien had no answer. An assistant called Evelyn back to set. She took my wrist before leaving. Do not trust him because he regrets the crime, she said. Regret is not the same as stopping. Her thumb remained over my pulse for one beat. Then she returned to the artificial moonlight. I spent the afternoon pretending to fight while searching the camera routes. Every stage camera fed into the main control room except one coaxial cable that ran under the throne platform and disappeared into an older sound tunnel. Lily met me inside the costume warehouse. She had stolen Ben's notebook from his locker before security searched it. Most pages contained stunt timings. One page listed 6 dates beside the words, reset burn. All 6 dates matched accidents Evelyn remembered from earlier loops. At the bottom, Ben had written, the star forgets. The director doesn't. Ask what he is cutting from her. Damien had not told us the whole cost. When I showed Evelyn, she went pale. We confronted him in an empty screening room. Old footage from Crown of Ash played silently behind us. Damien admitted the truth. Every reset required a central witness. Evelyn's performance bond made her the ideal anchor because Mnemosyne had mapped her emotions for months. The system cut memories from her to stabilize each new timeline. You used me as storage, she said. I used the only connection strong enough to prevent a full collapse. You never asked. The first time, you were dying. And the next 5? Damien looked away. Evelyn slapped him. The sound echoed through the screening room. I expected her to break. Instead, she asked for every memory he had taken. Damien described the first loop. Evelyn had found Ben bleeding behind the throne. She tried to carry him out while I, a visiting camera technician in that timeline, opened a locked service door. Victor shot us both. In the second loop, Evelyn warned Ben. Victor framed him for stealing studio funds and had Grant kill him outside the lot. Lily saw the car. In the third, Evelyn trusted the police. Victor used mnemosyne to remove the interview from the detective's memory. In the fourth, she released a clip online. The upload infected viewers with fragments from the earlier takes. A teenager crashed his car after remembering a chase he had never lived. In the fifth, Evelyn tried to destroy camera 7. The stored memories flooded her mind. She begged Damien to reset. In the sixth, she and I reached the underground wing. That was the death I remembered. Each strange gap in her life had once contained a choice. Write them down, Evelyn told me. We sat in the back row, while Damien guarded the door. I opened Ben's notebook and recorded every lost version. Evelyn corrected details when feelings surfaced. She remembered hating peppermint after one reset but not why. Damien explained that in the fourth loop, I had given her peppermint tea while we waited for an upload. You made terrible tea, she said. I don't remember making any. I still blame you. The joke broke something open between us. We were strangers carrying the outline of an intimacy built in erased time. Neither of us wanted to pretend those lost relationships automatically belonged to us now. If we were close before, I said, you do not owe me that closeness again. Evelyn studied me in the projector light. And if I want to know why I kept choosing you, then we start with coffee. Not peppermint. She smiled. A brave boundary. Our first honest date lasted 7 minutes in the studio cafeteria. She wore a hood and sunglasses. I bought coffee from a machine that tasted like burned furniture. She stole half my sandwich after insisting she was not hungry. Publicly, Evelyn Hart was controlled, elegant, and impossible to approach. Privately, she peeled cucumber from sandwiches and stacked the slices on my napkin with precise disgust. This is useful evidence, I said. Of what? That the country's greatest actress fears vegetables. I portray fear. I do not experience it. Grant Pike entered the cafeteria. Evelyn's fingers closed around my wrist beneath the table. Her face remained calm, but her pulse jumped under the black film mark. Grant scanned the room. I lowered my head. Evelyn moved closer until her shoulder covered my face from his angle. The contact began as camouflage. After Grant left, she stayed against me. He killed you, she whispered. Not yet. My body does not understand the difference. I turned my hand and held hers. No system message appeared. No missing timeline claimed the moment. It was only her choice and mine. That evening, Victor accelerated the finale. He announced that Stage 9 would shoot Thursday night, 24 hours early. The timeline shifted again because he knew a witness was inside the studio. Our deadline dropped to 19 hours. Damien proposed using the live finale broadcast to expose Victor. Monarch planned to stream behind-the-scenes footage to millions of fans. If we routed Camera 7 through a clean visual channel without its memory layer, the murder evidence could reach the public before the studio erased it. We needed 3 things. Camera 7, proof connecting Victor to the nerve agent, and a confession strong enough to survive claims of visual effects. Lily could recover the chemical invoices from wardrobe safety files. Damien could access the broadcast truck. Evelyn could keep Victor on Stage 9. I had to find the camera. The old cable led beneath the throne into a sound tunnel built when Monarch still produced silent films. I entered with a flashlight and Ben's notebook. Dust covered rusted rails. Painted castle walls stood back to back in darkness, exposing timber frames and handwritten scene numbers. At the end of the tunnel, I found a steel door labeled Prop Archive. Behind it stood Camera 7. It was older than the studio. A black wooden box mounted on brass legs. No power cable touched it. Film moved through its reels anyway. 6 strips hung from hooks on the wall. Each strip showed a frozen image of Evelyn and me dying in a different place. A 7th reel waited empty. Victor stepped from behind the camera. I wondered which version of you would finally find it, he said. He remembered the loops. Victor explained that his grandfather had discovered the camera in a theater destroyed by fire. It did not record light. It recorded attention. When enough people believed a scene, Camera 7 could decide which version became real. Movies were only the perfect delivery system. Victor built mnemosyne to scale that power. Crown of Ash was designed around a heroine returning from death because audiences already wanted to believe in second chances. The finale broadcast would connect millions of minds to the same fictional reset. Victor planned to insert a new memory. Monarch Studios had never caused an accident. Ben had never found poison. And Victor Shaw had always been a beloved creative visionary. You killed him for public relations, I said. I killed him because one frightened stunt coordinator wanted to destroy the work of generations. That is public relations with a body count. He offered me a place beside him. A camera technician who understood the system could become rich. I could repair my childhood. Remove every argument with Lily. Erase every rejection. And edit grief itself. For one dangerous moment, I imagined a life where my mother had not died when Lily and I were teenagers. Victor saw the temptation. One clean cut, he said. No pain. The black film beneath my wrist tightened. Memory was not pain stored badly. It was evidence that love had happened. I knocked the waiting seventh reel from the camera. Victor called Grant. I ran through the tunnel while security closed from both ends. Painted walls toppled behind me. A false castle crushed a real guard's foot. I reached a junction and found Evelyn waiting in costume. Sword in hand. Please tell me that one is fake, I said. She struck Grant's weapon aside. Mostly. We escaped into Stage 8, where rain machines had turned the ruined city set slick. Grant followed with 4 guards. Damien killed the lights from the control room. Position. Evelyn and I stood between collapsed foam buildings. Grant blocked the only lit exit. 2 guards moved along the left catwalk, 2 through the rain on our right. Threat. They carried real shock batons. And the wet floor made every strike more dangerous. Decision. We stopped treating the set as scenery. I pulled the release on a practical wall. Evelyn kicked its support. The ruined tower fell between us and Grant. She cut a rain hose, blasting the right side guards off their feet. I climbed the catwalk ladder and dropped a canvas moon over the others. Result, we reached the costume corridor. But Victor learned we knew how to use his world against him. Evelyn had a cut along her ribs. In her dressing room. I cleaned it while Lily guarded the door. It is shallow, Evelyn said. You are bleeding on a dress worth more than my apartment. Wardrobe has 6 copies. Lily looked over. 5. Someone ruined one with coffee. Evelyn glanced at me. A tragic production. My hands shook while I taped the bandage. Evelyn covered them with hers. Before, I had treated the injury because we needed her for the plan. Contact came when her fingers guided mine away from the blood. After, she raised my hand to her cheek and let herself be afraid. I remember losing you, she said. I do not remember enough of having you. You have me now. The words escaped before caution could edit them. Evelyn's eyes searched my face. Is that gratitude? Destiny? Or a decision? A decision. If you want it. She kissed me once. Gently. With Lily standing 3 feet away pretending to inspect a sleeve. I can leave, Lily said. Evelyn rested her forehead against mine. Now she offers. The kiss did not solve our danger. It made the danger more expensive. Lily had recovered the invoices. They showed Victor purchasing Nemesine particles through a shell company. More important, Ben had hidden a voice recorder inside a costume crown. It contained Victor, ordering him to increase the fire gel concentration during a test. We had proof. Proof was not safety. Victor responded before we could move it off the lot. Every employee received an emergency notice claiming Ben had stolen hazardous materials and died while fleeing an internal investigation. The notice named Lily as his suspected accomplice. Her badge stopped working. Her photograph appeared on every security tablet. At the same time, a gossip site published a video of Evelyn screaming at a makeup artist. The clip was real and completely false. It cut away the moment before, when the artist collapsed after breathing fire gel vapor, and the moment after, when Evelyn carried her to the medical tent. Online viewers saw only a famous woman losing control. Victor was adapting. He could not yet erase us, so he attacked the meaning around us. Evelyn's agent called and demanded that she apologize. For what? Evelyn asked. For the impression created by the footage. The impression is a lie. A lie with 12 million views is a scheduling problem. Evelyn ended the call. Her hand remained around the phone until her knuckles whitened. I had spent years assuming famous people were protected by attention. Now I understood that attention was simply a larger room in which to be cornered. We hid Lily inside the practical effects workshop. Shelves held rubber wounds, breakaway bottles, and mechanical birds waiting for someone to give them flight. An elderly effects artist named Owen Park was the only additional person we trusted. He had worked at Monarch for 40 years and remembered when Camera 7 was stored beneath a canvas tarp. Owen did not ask why the country's most recognizable actress was crouching behind a crate of fake skulls. He handed her a paper cup of tea. Peppermint, he said. Evelyn and I answered no at the same time. Lily stared at us. That sounded married. It sounded medically informed, Evelyn said. Owen found ordinary black tea. While we waited, he told us Victor's father had tested camera 7 on advertisements. One commercial made viewers remember buying a product they had only considered. Another caused an entire focus group to forget the face of an actor, removed from the campaign. They called it audience alignment, Owen said. I called it the reason I stopped sleeping. He had tried to expose the tests. Monarch threatened his pension and the medical insurance covering his husband's cancer treatment. He stayed, hid what documents he could, and told himself silence was temporary. Temporary can become a career, he said. His confession gave Damien's choices a human scale. People did not always join Victor because they were cruel. Some entered through fear, compromise, or the belief that they would act tomorrow. The result for the victims was still the same. Owen showed us a maintenance map marking a backup projector above stage 9. If Victor activated Nema's sign during the finale, the projector would distribute the signal. Even if Damien controlled the broadcast truck, we would need to disable it manually from the lighting grid. Lily volunteered. No, I said immediately. She folded her arms. I heard my own old habit and corrected myself before she had to fight it. No. As in, I am afraid. Not no. As in, I decide. Tell me how you would do it. Lily's anger softened. She explained that the costume lift reached the lower catwalk. From there, she could cross behind the castle screen, remove the projector's cooling cartridge, and replace it with an empty prop housing. The machine would start, overheat safely, and shut down before broadcasting the signal. Owen confirmed the plan could work. Then we go together as far as the lift. I said. You wear a harness. Owen watches the temperature. If anything changes, you come down. Lily held out her hand. Shared decision. I shook it. Evelyn watched us with an expression I could not read. Later, while Lily fitted the harness, she pulled me behind a rack of artificial trees. You changed your answer, she said. I am learning. Slowly and under protest. In one of the lost takes, you locked Lily in an editing room to keep her safe. She broke the door with a fire extinguisher. That sounds like her. You were furious. Then proud. Then furious about being proud. The erased memory belonged to another Noah. But the description fit me too well. What did you do? I asked. I helped her hide the extinguisher. You were a terrible influence before we officially met. I contain multitudes. She smiled. But exhaustion remained beneath it. I guided her to an old makeup chair and knelt to remove the boots she had worn since morning. The costume looked impressive on camera and punished every person inside it. What are you doing? She asked. Preventing the queen from entering battle with blisters. I found soft slippers in a wardrobe bin and slid them onto her feet. It was a small act, almost ridiculous among murder evidence and supernatural cameras. Evelyn looked at me as if I had said something important. In the dreams, she said, you always notice what hurts after everyone else stops looking. That may be because everyone else is looking at your face. It is a very distracting face. Careful. That sounded like flirting. I was documenting a production hazard. She touched my hair, smoothing dust from it. Her fingers traced the bruise Grant had left in my previous life, even though the skin was clean. Now, I don't want the camera to choose us, she said. It doesn't. How can you be sure? Because it keeps choosing scenes where we die. We keep choosing what happens between them. Evelyn leaned forward until her forehead touched mine. We stayed that way while machines hummed beyond the wall, and Lily argued with Owen about harness knots. The moment ended when every light in the workshop switched on at once. Victor's voice came through the studio speakers. Evelyn, your rehearsal begins in 10 minutes. If you are late, Monarch will release the complete dressing room video. Her face emptied. There was no complete video. There were fragments captured during costume changes, medical checks, and private calls. Enough to build any humiliation Victor wanted. The threat was not only scandal, it was ownership of her body through images. We can leave, I said. Evelyn stood. If I leave, he searches the workshop and finds Lily. If I go back, I control what he sees for a little longer. It was her decision. I hated it and respected it at the same time. Before she left, I gave her my repaired security badge. Its radio chip could transmit through the old camera cables. Tap it twice if you need us, I said. She clipped it inside her dress, directly over her heart. Now I have a witness. Victor's rehearsal became his first clear victory in the new timeline. He forced Evelyn to perform the final coronation while entertainment reporters watched from the balcony. He presented himself as patient and supportive. She could not accuse him without exposing our evidence too early. Through the badge microphone, we heard him give her quiet instructions between takes. Smile, Victor said. People forgive almost anything if the woman looks unstable first. Evelyn smiled for the cameras. After each take, one of Victor's assistants moved closer to her. By the fourth, Grant stood just outside the frame. We needed to pull her out without revealing Lily's hiding place. Owen triggered a smoke test in Stage 8. Lily sent a false wardrobe alert claiming the Queen's battle dress contained defective wiring. I entered with the emergency costume team wearing a mask. Evelyn recognized my walk before she saw my face. Hold still, I said loudly. Possible electrical fault. I placed both hands at her waist as if checking the hidden light pack. Grant watched from 6 feet away. There are no lights in this costume, Evelyn whispered without moving her smile. That explains why I cannot find them. Her laugh was real. Reporters captured it, disrupting Victor's story that she was unstable and afraid. I unclipped the badge, then deliberately found a harmless wire in the seam. We need to remove the dress, I announced. Victor could not object in front of reporters after threatening her with private footage. Evelyn walked off set surrounded by costume workers loyal to Lily. Grant followed, but the smoke alarm sealed the fire door between stages. The rescue lasted less than 3 minutes. It changed who needed whom. I had entered the studio to save Lily. Lily's plan saved Evelyn. Evelyn's performance protected our evidence. Owen's old regret became present courage. We were not stronger because one of us had secret power. We were stronger because Victor could not predict people who shared authority. Back in the workshop, Evelyn removed the heavy dress behind a privacy screen. I stood outside holding the replacement robe. When she reached through, our fingers brushed. Noah, she said from behind the screen. Yes, when this is over. I want one day where no one records me. We can turn off every phone. And if I do something worth remembering, then I will remember it badly and tell you an inaccurate version when we are old. Her hand remained outside the screen. I took it. That sounds perfect, she said. Then Damien betrayed us. He locked the dressing room doors remotely and told Victor where Camera 7's loose reel had fallen. He claimed the broadcast plan was too dangerous. 6 failed timelines had convinced him that control mattered more than consent. I can create one final reset, he said through the speaker. This time, Evelyn leaves the studio before Ben discovers anything. Everyone lives. Everyone obeys, Evelyn answered. Damien had become the midpoint truth of our story. Victor was willing to kill for the perfect version. Damien was willing to imprison us for the kinder version. Both men believed other people's choices were errors they had the right to edit. The countdown changed. Final cut in 4 hours. Grant's guards approached the dressing room. Lily crawled into the ventilation shaft with the invoices. Evelyn and I escaped through the wardrobe lift, but Damien activated Nemesign. White light swept the corridor. I forgot why I was holding Evelyn's hand. For 10 seconds, I saw only a famous actress dragging me through a restricted studio. I pulled away. Hurt crossed her face. Then she showed me the black film beneath our wrists. You told me memory is evidence, she said. Trust the evidence you left yourself. I looked at our joined marks. Feeling returned before facts. The coffee. The cucumber slices. Her pulse beneath the cafeteria table. My hand steadying under hers. Nemesign could cut information. It could not completely erase meaning created by choice. We reached the broadcast truck, but Damien had removed the clean encoder. He stood inside with camera 7 connected to the control board. Ben is alive in the next version, he said. On the monitor, the system displayed a proposed timeline. Ben left the studio. Lily never copied the reports. Evelyn finished the film. I never met her. Victor remained free, but committed no murder that week. It was a peaceful lie. What happens to the poisoned stunt performers? I asked. Damien did not answer. What happens when Victor needs another secret erased? Evelyn asked. I will control the camera. That is what Victor says. Damien reached for the reset lever. I tackled him. The lever moved halfway. The world split into unfinished frames. For 1 second, I stood in 3 versions of the truck. In one, Damien struck me. In another, Evelyn pulled the cable. In the third, Victor entered and shot Lily. Camera 7 was trying to select a reality without enough audience belief. Our system offered the single retake. Mark a scene. I looked at Evelyn. Using it would cost each of us a memory. We did not know which ones. Not yet, she said. We save it for a scene we choose. Not one, Damien. Forces. Together, we pulled the lever back. The unfinished frames collapsed. Damien fell against the console. Evelyn removed the brass key from his neck. And I disconnected camera 7. We did not forgive him. We also did not leave him for Victor. You can help expose the truth, Evelyn said. Or you can explain 6 stolen lives in court. Damien looked at the camera he had protected more carefully than people. Both, he said. His action came before apology. He rebuilt the clean encoder from spare broadcast equipment while I isolated camera 7's memory channel. Evelyn returned to stage 9 to keep the finale moving. Lily reached the control booth with the invoices. And Ben's recording. Victor still held the strongest position. The live broadcast belonged to Monarch. Grant controlled studio security. The murder we needed to expose had not happened in this timeline because Ben was already dead on the highway. We had evidence of poisoning and conspiracy, but Victor could blame employees and lawyers. We needed him to reveal what only the killer knew. Evelyn changed the final scene. Before the cameras rolled, she replaced the prop body behind the throne with a mannequin dressed in Ben's stunt jacket. She placed the silver drive in its pocket and marked the fabric with stage blood in the exact pattern from the first murder. When Victor entered the set, he stopped. The live behind-the-scenes stream had begun. Millions of fans watched from phones, televisions, and theater screens. Damien fed the main camera through the clean encoder. Evelyn stood before the black throne in her queen's battle dress. We need to rehearse the discovery, she said. The queen finds a murdered man behind the throne. Victor's face remained calm. That is not in the script. Neither was the real sword entering below the 5th rib. Only the killer knew the wound position. Ben's public report called his death a car accident. Victor looked toward the crane camera. Its red light blinked. Cut the stream, he ordered. Lily kept it live. Evelyn pulled the silver drive from the mannequin. Was this what he copied? Victor crossed the set and grabbed her wrist. You should have forgotten that room, he whispered. The microphones captured every word. For one perfect second, truth reached the audience. Then Grant shot the main camera. Security locked the stages. Victor activated Nemesign through the giant castle screens. White light poured over the crew and extras. People dropped props, lost instructions, and stared around in confusion. The broadcast comments changed in real time. Was that part of the movie? Who is Ben? Why is Evelyn improvising? Victor was erasing context faster than evidence could spread. Camera 7 began pulling the live audience into its memory field despite our isolated cable. Attention itself was the connection. The studio was desperate to erase a crime, and millions of people were now watching the erasure happen. Victor took the real sword from beneath the throne. History returned to its visual anchor. Black throne. Silver blade. Blinking red camera. He stabbed Damien first. Damien fell across the encoder, keeping the clean feed active with his body. Lily screamed from the booth. Grant dragged her toward the stage. Evelyn moved for Victor. He slashed her shoulder and forced her against the back. Throne. I ran from camera 7 toward them. The system flashed. Mark scene? I looked at the crane clock. 90 seconds until the live stream's emergency buffer overrode itself. This was the scene. Evelyn met my eyes and nodded. We marked it together. First frame. Victor's sword was inside Damien. Grant held Lily at the stage entrance. Evelyn stood 6 steps from the throne. I stood beside camera 7. The crane moved left. Artificial rain began above the courtyard. We had 90 seconds and 1 discarded death. I ran toward Grant instead of Victor. Evelyn went for the throne controls. Damien, already wounded, shoved the clean feed switch before collapsing. Grant fired. The bullet struck my leg. I reached Lily but could not free her before Victor caught Evelyn. She triggered the throne trap. Mechanical flames rose too early, separating us. Victor understood the system. He turned the sword toward camera 7. If he destroyed it inside the marked scene, no discarded take would remain. I tackled him at 78 seconds. He drove the sword through my chest at 84. Evelyn reached me at 89. I died in her arms again. The scene snapped back. First frame. Victor's sword was inside Damien. Grant held Lily. Evelyn stood 6 steps from the throne. I stood beside camera 7. Only Evelyn and I remembered the failed take. The camera remembered it, too. A reel spun, inside the black box, preserving Victor murdering me in front of the full set. Something else vanished. I could no longer remember my mother's voice. Evelyn forgot the first role that had made her want to act. The loss hit us without time to grieve. We changed the plan. I threw a metal film canister at the sprinkler control. Artificial rain fell early, shorting Grant's shock weapon. Lily bit his hand and dropped beneath the camera track. Evelyn did not trigger the thrown flames. She pulled the entire release cable free and used it like a whip around Victor's sword arm. Damien hit the clean feed switch before the blade left his body. At 30 seconds, I reached Lily. At 40, Grant recovered and aimed at Evelyn. I shouted. She ducked. The bullet struck the mirrored crown above the throne. Its glass pieces scattered across the floor, reflecting camera 7 from 100 angles. At 55 seconds, Victor cut free of the cable. At 60, he charged Evelyn. She stepped aside exactly as she had in the discarded take. Victor's momentum carried him onto the mechanical throne platform. At 68, Lily activated the practical chains used to restrain the fictional king. They closed around Victor's wrists. At 75, Grant reached me. I used the moving camera crane as a shield. Its steel arm struck his shoulder and pinned him against a foam wall. At 82, Victor shouted the truth because control was leaving him. I killed Ben to protect this studio. I can remove one useless death from millions of minds. At 87, Damien routed camera 7's discarded reel into the clean visual feed. At 90, the world kept moving. The live audience saw two versions side by side. In one, Victor confessed while chained to the throne. In the discarded take, he stabbed me as Evelyn held my body. The camera did not transmit the stolen memories. It transmitted the difference between the takes. Millions of witnesses understood one simple fact in less than a second. Someone had tried to edit reality, and the edit had failed. Victor screamed for the scene to reset. There was no retake left. Police entered stage 9 through the service doors. Not Monarch's usual media unit. Sabine Cole, a financial crimes detective Lily had contacted from the costume warehouse, brought an independent warrant based on the chemical invoices. She had arrived expecting fraud. The live confession gave her murder. Grant surrendered after the foam wall collapsed on top of him. Damien survived because the sword missed his heart. Victor was pulled from his own throne in front of the cameras he had spent his life controlling. The victory created one final problem. Camera 7 would not stop recording. The audience's attention fed it faster than Damien could close the channel. The 6 erased timelines appeared across the studio screens. Crew members remembered injuries that had never happened. Lily remembered watching me die. Evelyn fell to her knees under 6 versions of grief. The system offered no command. We had used its only action. I understood the answer because of something Victor had said. The camera recorded attention. It selected reality when enough people agreed to believe. We did not need to destroy the memories. We needed to give them context. Evelyn stood despite the blood on her shoulder. She faced the main camera. Not as the queen from Crown of Ash, but as herself. What you are seeing happened in discarded versions of tonight, she said. The fear is real. The pain is real. But those deaths are not happening now. Look at the people who are alive. Remember the crime without becoming trapped inside it. I joined her in frame. Lily stood on my other side. Damien remained on the floor but lifted one hand to show he was alive. Across the screens, the earlier deaths slowed. The audience began naming the present. Noah is standing. Evelyn is alive. Lily is safe. Call an ambulance for Damien. Ben Mercer was murdered. Do not let them erase him. Attention changed from panic to witness. Camera 7 stopped pulling memories. Its reels slowed. The 7th strip of film emerged, not with an image of death, but with 4 people standing beneath artificial rain after the scene should have ended. The black marks beneath our wrists faded. Evelyn caught my hand before mine disappeared completely. Tell me what it took, she said. My mother's voice. Her grip tightened. My first role. I remember loving it. I cannot remember the stage. We did not call the price beautiful. We did not say it was worth it because that would turn loss into a transaction. We stood together and admitted it hurt. Later, Lily gave me an old voicemail from our mother. I listened once. The sound felt familiar without becoming memory. I saved 3 copies anyway. I found a recording of Evelyn's first school play in a box her father brought from home. She watched a 12-year-old version of herself forget a line, laugh, and keep going. I don't feel connected to her, Evelyn said. You don't have to perform the correct emotion. She leaned her head on my shoulder. That may be the nicest thing anyone has said to an actress. Victor's trial lasted 8 months. The discarded take could not be explained by normal camera science. But it did not need to be. Ben's recorder. The chemical invoices. security logs, Damien's testimony, and Victor's live confession formed a chain no studio lawyer could cut. Monarch tried to call the broadcast an unauthorized promotional stunt. Thousands of crew members organized before the statement finished airing. Stunt performers released medical records. Editors published lists of footage they had been ordered to alter. Actors described contracts that claimed ownership over their emotional data. The studio did not disappear. Institutions rarely fall as neatly as villains. It was broken into smaller companies under independent oversight. The Namasin equipment was dismantled in public. Camera 7 could not be dismantled. Its wood resisted saws, fire, and one extremely frustrated government engineer. We placed it in a glass archive with no network connection. 3 keys were required to open the room. Lily held one. A crew representative held another. Evelyn and I shared the third. Damien pleaded guilty to evidence tampering and unlawful experimentation. He testified against Victor and accepted his sentence. Before prison, he gave Evelyn the complete production archive. I kept trying to direct a better ending, he told her. I forgot the people inside it were not actors. Evelyn did not forgive him at the courthouse. She said forgiveness might come later. Or it might not. Accountability did not require her to promise either answer. Ben's family created a safety foundation in his name. Lily became its first production investigator. She still sewed costumes when she wanted to. But no one called her a junior assistant after she walked onto a live murder scene with a voice recorder hidden inside a crown. As for me, I stopped repairing cameras for landlords who preferred flattering angles. I helped design tamper-proof recording systems owned jointly by film crews. Every deletion left a visible record. Every person captured in experimental data could withdraw consent. It was not magical. That was the point. Evelyn refused to finish Victor's version of Crown of Ash. She bought the rights with other cast members and restored the original ending. Her queen destroyed the crown that controlled memory, then opened the palace archives so ordinary people could decide what history meant. She asked me to supervise the camera network for the final shoot. You know, I sneaked onto the set the first time. I said, I am aware. Security has developed opinions. Do I get a badge now? She handed me one. The photograph was terrible. Beneath it, my job title read, Witness. That is not a real department. It is now. On the night of the reshoot, Stage 9 looked almost the same. The black throne remained. Artificial snow covered the courtyard. A red camera light blinked above us. The differences mattered. No toxic fire gel touched the set. Stunt performers approved every effect. Crew representatives watched the safety feeds. The throne wall contained a small brass plaque with Ben's name. Evelyn stood beneath the artificial moon in a repaired silver dress. Before the cameras rolled, she crossed the set and adjusted my crooked badge. You are staring, she said. I came to watch the drama. And found a crime. The reviews were mixed. Her fingers remained against my collar. Over the past year, our closeness had grown in ordinary increments rather than erased destinies. Coffee after hearings. Arguments over whether cucumber belonged in food. Her sleeping against me during late train rides. My hand in hers before every testimony. A first kiss repeated without danger. Simply because we wanted another. We never recovered the 6 relationships we might have had. We built one that belonged to this timeline. After the shoot, Evelyn said, Come home with me. For coffee? For breakfast? That sounds serious. I bought bread without cucumber. I put my hand over my heart. Then I accept the proposal. The assistant director called for quiet. Evelyn returned to her mark. I stepped behind the monitors. In the final scene, her queen lifted the memory crown above a fire. The old script required a speech about power. Evelyn had replaced it with one line. A history no one can question is only another prison. She dropped the crown. Flames rose safely. Cameras captured every angle. No hidden system changed what the crew remembered. No producer stood beyond the frame waiting to decide which pain counted. Damien once told me a camera could turn lies into truth if enough people watched. He understood only half of it. A camera can be used to frame, flatter, manipulate, and erase. It can also keep a promise. This happened. These people were here. And someone chose not to look away. When the director called cut, the crew applauded. Evelyn looked past them to me. The red recording light went dark. She crossed the set, took my hand, and led me out through the open stage doors. For once, the most important part of our life happened after the cameras stopped.